He snatched the phone from my grip and backhanded me across the face, the sting exploding like fireworks in my jaw. I didn't flinch or cry out. Instead, I locked eyes with him, tasting blood, while the screen still lit up with the caller's name, Texas Financial Oversight Bureau. That one slap wasn't just rage. It was the crack in the dam that would flood out every dirty secret Victor Langley had buried. My name is Emily Carter, and, at 35, I manage financial records for a mid-sized hospital in Austin, Texas, a job that drilled into me the power of paper trails and proof. Little did I know I'd turn those skills against my own stepfather to dismantle his web of lies. That humid Wednesday evening, I was in the kitchen of our family home in the suburbs, prepping tacos while Mom sipped herbal tea at the island counter, her eyes glued to a gardening magazine. Victor was in his study, crunching numbers for Langley Estate Solutions, his real estate upkeep firm that handled contracts for upscale condo complexes around the city. The old corded phone on the wall jangled, Victor's business line he refused to ditch for some reason. I answered without a second thought, wiping salsa from my hands. Carter Residence. This is Emily. Good evening. This is Agent Carla Mendoza from the Texas Financial Oversight Bureau. I'm trying to reach Victor Langley regarding some account irregularities. Before I could process or respond, Victor burst through the door like a storm cloud, his face twisting from confusion to fury. He lunged, ripped the receiver away, and swung his hand hard against my cheek. The impact spun me into the cabinets, stars dancing in my vision. "Don't ever touch my phone," he snarled, his voice low and venomous, before smoothing his tone for the caller. "This is Victor. What seems to be the problem?" I pressed a hand to my throbbing face, feeling the heat rise. But Mom just sat there, frozen, her magazine trembling slightly. She never intervened when Victor's temper flared, not since he'd charmed his way into our lives 7 years ago. "I understand," Victor was saying now, his back to me. "Must be a clerical error. I'll have my accountant sort it out." He hung up abruptly, then jabbed at the buttons to clear the caller ID. But the phone rang again almost immediately. He ignored it, letting it hit voicemail. Carla Mendoza's voice echoed through the speaker. "Mr. Langley, we've flagged multiple transfers from the Carter Family Trust into your business accounts, along with overbilled contracts for several condo associations. We need to discuss this urgently. Call me back at..." Victor smashed the delete button, cutting her off. But the damage was done. The Carter Family Trust, that was my late dad's safety net. A modest $60,000 he'd scraped together from his construction foreman days, meant for Mom's retirement and my future stability. Victor had no right to it. Or so I thought. "Get out of here," he growled at me, pointing toward a hall. I wasn't living there full-time anymore, just staying a few days to help Mom with her post-hip surgery recovery, but his tone made it clear. This was his domain. "I'm not a child, Victor. Then act like it and mind your business." I retreated to the living room, my mind whirling. Mom murmured something placating to him about bank mix-ups, and he brushed it off with a kiss on her forehead. But I knew better. All those times he'd had her sign forms blindly, claiming they were routine. The way he'd wormed into her finances after their wedding, adding his name to accounts for protection. I slipped my phone out and noted the number from memory, the one I'd glimpsed before his slap. That night, as the house quieted, I replayed the full voicemail I'd snuck back to hear. Dates, amounts, ghost invoices. It painted a picture of embezzlement. My cheek pulsed, a reminder of his desperation. Victor had crossed a line from control to violence, and I wasn't backing down. I'd document it all, turn his secrets into shackles. By morning, resolve had hardened like concrete. This wasn't just about me. It was about protecting Mom from the man who'd dimmed her light. The revolution had started. One quiet note at a time. The house in Oakwood Hills hadn't always felt like a pressure cooker. When Mom first brought Victor home 8 years back, he seemed like a godsend after Dad's heart attack left her adrift. Charismatic, with a successful real estate maintenance business, he wined and dined her, promising stability and adventure. I was 27 then, fresh out of grad school, building my career in hospital finance. I wanted her happy. She'd spent too long alone in the echoey ranch-style home Dad had bought us. Victor made her smile again. And for that, I was thankful. Their courthouse wedding was simple, but Victor footed the bill for a lavish reception, insisting, "We're family now. Let me handle the details." It sounded generous then. Now I see it as the first thread in his manipulative tapestry. The shifts were subtle at first. Victor suggested merging their checking accounts to streamline expenses. Then he took over the small rental condo Dad had left us downtown, which brought in steady rent. "I've got the expertise," he'd say. "No need to pay fees to strangers." Mom, who hated dealing with tenants, agreed readily. Within a year, he'd convinced her to let him manage everything financial, the bills, investments, even the login for Dad's trust. "Sarah, darling, you focus on your art classes. I'll lift this burden." Mom, always the dreamer, handed over the reins without a fight. I'd catch glimpses during visits, Victor bragging about big contracts with condo boards, like a $25,000 landscaping overhaul or $18,000 in HVAC repairs. He'd chuckle about how boards rubber-stamped approvals without digging. "They just want pretty lawns and cool air," he'd say. But red flags mounted. The locked study door. The way he'd snap if Mom questioned a statement. The expensive watches and golf trips paid in cash. And his control, it wasn't just money. He'd critique her outfits, isolate her from old friends, make her ask for allowance like a kid. Classic signs I'd learned about in a workplace seminar on coercive control. I tried broaching it with Mom last spring over brunch. "Have you checked the trust balances lately? Dad's set that up for you." "Victor handles it all," she'd replied, avoiding my eyes. "He's good with numbers. But it's your money. Emily. He's my husband. Why can't you trust him?" Her defensiveness shut me down. But I started watching closer, the new Tesla in the garage, the investment seminars he attended alone. And then, his volatility, verbal barbs that left Mom shrinking, followed by lavish gifts to make up. Until that slap turned it physical. Now, with the bruise blooming on my face, everything clicked. Victor was cornered. And cornered men lash out. The Financial Oversight Bureau didn't ring for chit-chat. They hunted fraud. In my old bedroom, surrounded by faded posters from my teen years, I stared at a photo of Dad, Mom, and me at my college graduation. Dad had preached, "Numbers don't lie. Eminencia. Track them, and you'll always have the truth." He was spot on. My laptop hummed as I created folders, proof_financial, recordings, witnesses, subfolders for emails, photos, timelines. The plan formed: gather intel, ally with investigators, shield Mom. No more silence. Next morning, after Victor roared off in his Tesla for meetings, I called Carla Mendoza from a park bench downtown. Away from prying ears. "Texas Financials Oversight. Mendoza here. This is Emily Carter. You called about Victor Langley yesterday." Pause. "As in the Carter Trust?" "Yes. He's my stepfather." "What's going on? Are you somewhere private?" Her caution prickled my skin. "Yes. We've been probing Langley Estate Solutions for 6 months. Condo associations report padded bills, work charged but half done. Materials marked up 300%. Then we traced funds back to your dad's trust. Unauthorized draws totaling $40,000 funneled through dummy vendors. My stomach nodded. He shouldn't have access. We found a power of attorney from 2 years ago, when your mom was recovering from that car accident. She was on meds, might not have grasped it. Typical Victor, preying on vulnerability. We're building embezzlement and wire fraud charges, but need inside proof, ledgers, emails, statements. What can I do? Nothing risky, but if you access relevant docs legally and share. She trailed off. Texas is one-party consent for recordings. 2. Got it. She mentioned a whistleblower, Elena Ruiz, ex-bookkeeper for a condo board Victor serviced. She got fired for flagging discrepancies. Might talk to you. I jotted Elena's contact.
Heart pounding.
Be careful, Emily. These guys get desperate. He already hit me after your call. Silence. Document it.
Photos.
Timestamps. If it escalates, call police. Will do. How fast can you move? With solid evidence? Warrants in days. I could manage that. Next stop, Elena's apartment in East Austin. She was a no-nonsense woman in her 50s, with stacks of binders in her living room. Langley ruined my career, she said, brewing coffee. Look. She flipped open a file, invoice for $50,000 in pool renovations. Attached receipt, $15,000 actual cost. He ghosts the work or skimps. Pockets the difference. And those trust checks? Used to cover shortfalls before condo payments hit. Patterns emerged, bills spiked mid-month. Syncing with trust interest payouts. He's laundering family money through his scams. I snapped photos. My phone's storage filling with ammo. Will you testify? Damn right. But watch your mom. Men like him isolate victims. Driving back, I phoned the Austin Family Advocacy Center for Mom's escape plan. Attorney Marcus Hale answered. We can push for a temp restraining order with your evidence, bruise pics. Threats. Building it now. Have safe copies offsite. And a getaway bag. That afternoon, Victor returned, oblivious, kissing Mom's cheek. But I saw the cracks, his forced smile, the way he double-locked his study. Dinner was tense. He eyed my fading bruise but said nothing. Later, while he streamed a game in the den, I rifled the unlocked filing cabinet in the dining nook, his overflow spot. Jackpot. Recent invoices. One for $42,000 in exterior painting at Willow Creek Condos. Clipped behind, supplier bill for $9,000 in paint. Labor at $7,500. Photos taken. Cross-check via quick drive-by. The buildings showed spotty touch-ups. Not full coats. My phone buzzed, Elena with a tip. Contact ex-employee Jamal Hayes. Victor canned him for refusing fake sign-offs. I stepped outside and dialed. I ain't getting involved, Jamal said warily. He threatened my family. The Bureau's building a case. Your story could seal it. He relented. Emailing scanned work orders, falsified hours. Phantom jobs. The net tightened. Victor's empire of deceit was crumbling. One documented lie at a time. But the real test loomed, getting Mom on board without tipping him off. As the days blurred into a covert operation, the weight of secrets pressed heavier. I'd stashed duplicate evidence in cloud storage and a thumb drive hidden at work, insurance against Victor's growing paranoia. He started double-checking locks, snapping at Mom over minor things like dinner being 5 minutes late. The slap hung between us like unspoken thunder. But he acted as if it never happened, flashing his salesman smile during meals. Pass the salt, Emily, he'd say, eyes daring me to challenge him. I played along, biding time, while inside, fury simmered into strategy. Mom noticed my quiet intensity. You okay, honey?
That
Mark on your face. We were alone in the garden, her pruning roses while I helped by weeding. It's nothing, I lied, not ready to shatter her world yet. But seeds of doubt sprouted in her eyes. That evening, I met Jamal Hayes at a quiet diner off I-35. He was a burly guy in his 40s, calloused hands from years in maintenance. Victor had me log jobs that never happened, he said over coffee. Like full HVAC overhauls when we just swapped filters. He'd pocket the difference. Threatened to blacklist us if we talked. He slid over a USB drive. Copies of emails where he ordered me to adjust the logs.
Goldmine.
Back home, Victor was out networking, so I accessed Mom's old desktop in the guest room, the one she rarely used since he bought her a tablet. Her email password was still Dad's birthday. Searching Victor and trust, I found forwarded statements, withdrawals disguised as investment transfers, routed to Langley accounts. One email from Victor to a shady vendor. Use the Carter funds for the upfront. I'll cover with Willow Creek payout. My blood boiled. This wasn't just theft. It was betrayal of Dad's hard-earned legacy. I printed screenshots, adding to my growing dossier. Carla Mendoza called the next day while I was at work, auditing hospital vendor contracts. Ironic parallel. Your tips panned out. We subpoenaed bank records, $45,000 from the trust cycled through 3 shells. Then back via inflated condo bills. What's next? We're prepping search warrants. But need more to tie him personally. Any internal comms? Emails? Yes. Send M securely. I did. From a library computer for anonymity. She added.
Talk to DR.
Harlan Weiss, president of Oak Ridge Condos. He suspected fraud but got stonewalled by his board, Victor's golf buddies. Harlan met me at his office in a sleek high-rise. Gray-haired, sharp-suited. He shook my hand firmly. Langley's charm half the city. But his numbers never added up. He showed spreadsheets, $60,000 billed for landscaping. Actual aerial photos showed minimal work. When I pushed, he implied I'd regret it, hinted at connections in City Hall. Will you go public? With backup? Absolutely. Allies multiplied. Jamal, Elena,
Harlan.
Even a former notary who admitted Victor pressured her for backdated stamps on the power of attorney. He paid me $500, she confessed over the phone. I regret it now. Recorded. Of course.
Tension peaked that Friday.
Victor came home early, slamming doors. Damn auditors sniffing around, he muttered to Mom. Thinking I wasn't listening from the hall. Nothing to worry about. Sarah. Just jealous competitors. But his eyes darted. Sweat beading despite the AC. Dinner was a minefield. He grilled me about my day. Probing. Any interesting calls at work? Routine stuff. My voice steady. But inside, adrenaline surged. After he retreated to his study, I planted a small voice recorder under the dining table, legal in Texas. It captured him on a late-night call. Move the funds tonight. Use the alternate account.
No.
The Carter one, it's clean.
Boom.
Direct admission. Mom cornered me in my room later, whispering, "What's going on?" Victor's on edge. And you're different. I hesitated, then showed her a photo of my bruise time-stamped the night of the call. He hit me.
Mom.
And he's stealing from Dad's trust. From his clients. Her face crumpled.
No.
He wouldn't, but doubt flickered. I pulled out select printouts, the power of attorney signed during her foggy post-accident days. Mismatched invoices. He's using us. Tears welled. I trusted him. We can stop him. But I need your help. Access to his safe. She nodded slowly. The first crack in her loyalty. That night, while Victor slept, she slipped me the combination she'd glimpsed once. Inside, ledgers showing cooked books. Stacks of cashier's checks from the trust. photographed everything. The buildup was excruciating, slow drips of evidence amassing into a torrent. But Victor sensed the noose. Saturday. He confronted me in the garage. "You've been snooping." His voice low, menacing. "Stay out of my business, or you'll regret it. Like Mom regrets marrying you?" The words escaped before I could stop them. His face reddened, fist clenching. But Mom appeared in the doorway. "Victor?" He backed off, storming inside. I texted Carla. "He's unraveling. Move fast. Warrants approved. Tomorrow." The pressure cooker hissed, ready to explode. I documented the lies. Now came the reckoning. Dawn broke with a knock that shattered the quiet suburb. I peered through the blinds, 2 squad cars, a bureau van. Carla Mendoza in a windbreaker leading the charge. Victor, bleary-eyed in his robe, opened the door. "What's this?" "Search warrant. Mr. Langley." Carla's tone was steel. "Step aside." He blustered, demanding his lawyer, but officers flooded in. Mom clutched her coffee mug, wide-eyed, as I guided her to the couch. "It's okay. This ends it." Victor's eyes met mine, pure venom. "You did this." "No," I said calmly, pulling out my phone to record. "You did." The search was methodical chaos. Tex seized his computers, files from the study. In the safe, they found the ledgers I'd photographed. These matched the discrepancies, an agent noted. Carla confronted Victor in the living room. Harlan Weiss and Elena Ruiz arriving as witnesses. "Explain these transfers from the Carter Trust to your vendors." "Legitimate loans." His voice shook. "Repaid with interest. Through overbilled condos?" Harlan interjected, holding printouts. "We paid $60,000 for landscaping that cost you $10,000. Victor's polish cracked. "You don't get it. I was optimizing cash flow." Mom spoke up, voice trembling but firm. "You forged my signature on that power of attorney while I was medicated." "Sarah. Baby. Don't call me that." Tears streamed. But she stood tall. Jamal arrived next, handing over his drive. Fake logs, as ordered by him. The evidence piled. Emails, recordings, mismatched receipts. Victor grabbed for a folder, but an officer restrained him. "This is a setup." "No," Carla said. "It's fraud. Embezzlement. Forgery." They cuffed him for resisting. Reading rights as neighbors gawked from lawns. "You'll pay for this, Emily," he hissed as they let him out. "It's over," Mom whispered, collapsing into my arms. But it was just beginning, the unraveling of his empire. Post-arrest, the floodgates opened. More condo boards came forward, $300,000 in total fraud uncovered. The DA filed charges. Wire fraud, money laundering, elder financial abuse. Marcus Hale secured an emergency protective order, barring Victor from contact. Assets frozen, his Tesla. Offshore accounts traced. Mom filed for divorce that week, citing abuse. "I feel free," she admitted over tea. "Scared, but free." Allies rallied. Harlan offered Mom a part-time job at his firm. Elena connected us to a support group. But Victor fought dirty from jail, harassing calls through proxies. Smears to mutual friends. "He's saying you planted evidence," a neighbor texted. I documented those too, forwarding to Carla. The preliminary hearing loomed, a packed Austin courtroom buzzing. Judge Elena Torres presided. No nonsense in her robes. "Proceed." The prosecutor laid it out, charts tracing money from Dad's trust through shells to padded bills. Witnesses testified, Jamal on falsified work, Elena on board manipulations, Harlan on threats. Mom took the stand, voice steady. "He isolated me,
controlled the money.
Stole from my late husband's legacy. Victor's public defender cross-examined weekly. Just business disputes. But when I testified, showing my dossier, photos, timelines, recordings, the courtroom hushed. This voicemail admits moving funds illegally. Playing it sealed the deal. Victor erupted. She's lying. It's edited. Order. Judge Torres banged her gavel. Bail denied. Trial set for 3 months. Outside. Media swarmed. Local businessman charged in fraud ring. Headlines blared. But the real victory was Mom's smile as we left. You saved us. Not yet. The build-up to trial was a slow burn, depositions, more victims surfacing. Victor's ex-wife from Dallas contacted me. He did the same to me 10 years ago, stole from my family's business. Her docs showed identical schemes. The FBI expanded the probe interstate. Tension mounted as threats trickled in anonymous notes. Slash tires. He's desperate, Carla warned. Stay vigilant. I did. Adding security cams. Always with my phone ready. Mom blossomed, reconnecting with friends, auditing classes on finance. Never again, she vowed. The explosion came at trial, a federal courthouse spectacle. The Travis County Federal Courthouse thrummed with anticipation. Victor, shackled in orange, looked diminished. His charisma evaporated. The prosecutor opened. This is a tale of greed cloaked in trust. Evidence paraded. Bank trails. Forged docs. Victim testimonies. Mom detailed the control. He made me sign blindly. Hit my daughter when exposed. Cross-exam. You never questioned? I was afraid. Her honesty resonated. I took the stand, unflinching. That slap after the bureau call? It ignited my resolve. Here's the proof. Projecting my files. The jury leaned in. Victor's defense crumbled. Alibis debunked. Witnesses discredited. His ex-wife testified. Pattern of abuse and theft. He snapped during his turn. They conspired against me. The judge admonished. Closing arguments. Guilty on all counts. Jury deliberated 2 days. Guilty. Sentencing. 18 years. Restitution ordered. Victor glared. You ruined me. You ruined yourself, I replied. Post-trial. Recovery began. Trust funds restored plus damages. $150,000 total. Mom sold the house. Bought a bungalow near Zilker Park. I advanced to fraud prevention lead at work. Community healed. Condo boards reformed oversight. A local nonprofit started in Dad's name for abuse victims. But scars lingered. Nights I jumped at shadows. Mom and I attended therapy. Rebuilding bonds. Your courage saved me, she said. The final twist, a letter from prison. Victor begging forgiveness. We burned it. Truth had prevailed. Documented and unyielding. Months later, a call from Carla. Victor's appealing. But it's weak. Your evidence holds. Life normalized. Mom thriving in her new home. Painting again. Me mentoring at the Advocacy Center. We hosted a gathering. Harlan. Elena. Jamal. Victims turned friends. To paper trails we toasted. The story faded from news. But its lesson endured. One act of violence sparked a chain of justice. Dad's words echoed. Track the truth. Victor rotted in prison. His empire dust. We lived free. Proof that documentation defeats deception. The phone rings sometimes. But now it's opportunity. Not fear. In the end, that slap didn't break me. It forged a warrior. And the world moved on. Brighter for the truth exposed.